Now we're going to look at design and styling of your catalogue. We're going to start with front covers, so what makes some winners, what makes some less appealing. Do you want to add the name of your course and your theme for the year to the front cover? Do you want to keep it minimal and just include graphic elements? Some colleges go for a set of different covers, so they might print a longer print run like we saw with the Newcastle ones where they print 1,000 or 2,000 copies and they split the cover design between 2 or 3, 4 different colourways. Or maybe a few of the courses want to get together and you want to come up with like a cohesive design that you follow across 3 or 4 courses within the university. If you all come through at the same time and print your books together, then for example, if you all printed 500 copies, then we could definitely do a better price for printing the 2,000 in one go than if each 4 come through disjointedly and just place 4 separate orders. Also means that when people go to the degree show, like we can see here with Glasgow, they've gone for these design elements, sort of architectural type shapes, and it brings it all together as an entire university. So we'll start looking at these front covers. So if you have a look at the selection of front covers that we've put out here, what immediately jumps out, which ones are kind of the most visually attractive, which ones are typographically strong, which colours have people used. Some of them have white backgrounds. Does that work? A lot of them have grey backgrounds. We'll start dissecting these now. Let's start with looking at the grey front covers. So going for a grey base on the front cover, it's a nice neutral shade. Doesn't draw the eye, but it does look professional, and it does then mean that you can add other colours over the top and other accents within the catalogue, which the grey sits against without clashing. So these are 2 particular favourites up here. So they've gone for strong typographic front covers, and they've used this vehicle of having the oversized spine. So we've added a colour. I think the UCA one came first, and Nottingham Trent were probably heavily influenced by seeing that on our website. So you can see it's a slightly different shade. This is more going towards a yellow beige colour, whereas the Nottingham Trent one is more of a grey. Strong typography, and then we have the oversized spine. So where the spine is 5mm, they've actually added probably about an extra 12mm either side, which looks really, really nice. Completely takes away the need to ensure that the spine matches up perfectly because it's wrapping around, so it's far easier to design that way as well. So it forms a very neat front cover. Again, about a 12mm wrap around on here. We have text down the spine. If you are going to put text on the spine, always make sure it's neatly tucked within. If you have text that runs right to both of the edges, and there's even 1mm movement when we come to trimming, binding and folding the front covers, then you're going to end up with your text wrapping round onto the front cover, which does look like a massive mistake. So if you've got a tiny spine, this one's about 6 or 7mm, just make sure your text is neatly tucked within the constraints of the spine. You probably want to allow a couple of them at the top and the bottom of the text before you get to the actual fold, and then if there is any movement, it's less apparent. The Epsom one here is slightly neater. So the text on the spine doesn't have to be massive. I mean, you can get away with kind of 6-7 point. It's just an indication, it's a little hint at people, but realistically, is a degree show catalogue ever going to be kept on the shelf? When you pick it up at the show itself, it's probably going to be stacked in a pile. So it's not going to be something that people need to massively refer back to from a shelving unit afterwards. But it's always, it looks professional to have a bit of text on the spine there. 6 or 7 point is plenty. Like I say, it doesn't have to be massively overkill. So these are both really neat ones. So Manchester School of Art, they've gone for a grey printed cover, as have University of Cambridge Architecture. So this is where we just use our standard 300g house uncoated, and then you could choose a shade of grey and print over the top of it. Now, 9 times out of 10, this is going to be far cheaper than going for an actual colour plan grey. You can get some pretty close shades. Obviously, you've got a bit more flexibility even in the shade that you go for, because you can use any of 100 different degrees of black ink to create a grey, whereas with colour plan, you're limited to about 4 or 5 different grey choices that they supply. So printing the grey onto both sides as well does give the illusion that the catalogue does have a grey cover. University of Cambridge have gone for a slightly lighter shade, and then they've got these kind of eye-catching photographic end papers, if you like, inside the front and the back cover, which might be a really nice vehicle for you to be able to put a photo of your entire course group on there, or maybe a prominent piece of work, or maybe a display for a particular project like they've done here with Cambridge, where each person has a bit of artwork on there. So immediately when you open up the cover, you're faced with quite a nice double page spread. So we've got Camberwell here. They've gone for one of the GF Smith greys, which is smoke. So obviously the tone is both sides of the paper. Actually gone for silk on the inside pages as well, which forms a nice contrast between the tactile front cover and then the smooth inside pages. And the silk lends itself really well to colour reproduction. Nice neat 148 by 148mm publication, this one. Goldsmiths have gone for a colour plan. I think they might have changed this shade though, because we can't seem to find this in the book anymore. This is a sort of a mid grey, maybe like a 35–40% grey if you wanted to match it with ink. And they've gone for the neat embossing on the front cover. But as you can see here, with the Birmingham Parataxis one as well and the Camberwell one, black ink onto these works really well. If you're going to print the background, then obviously this section of the paper can be printed green because there's no bed behind it, but I don't think you'd really want to start printing colour onto one of the grey colour plans, because the bed of the colour plan paper itself is really going to start washing out your images. It's not going to look anything like what it does on screen. So the cover obviously is going to draw people in, it's going to make them want to pick it up, make the cover look classy and approachable, get across the points that you need to do. Do you want to put your college on there? Do you want to put the course on there as well? Black typography on the grey, it's going to work really well. We've spoken about before, colour plans are for groups that have got a larger budget. If not, then you can still do a very effective grey front cover just by printing the grey onto either our house silk, house gloss or house uncoated, and that works out vastly cheaper than extending up to a premium paper. So we've got black text here, and onto the colour plan we know we've got gloss spot UV varnish as well, which flickers and shimmers off the page and forms a nice contrast between the shiny gloss varnish and the colour plan background. This is colour plan real grey. So you can get some really nice effects with a grey front cover on your degree show catalogue. It looks classy, lends itself well to typography. Avoid putting images on there. Manchester here have gone for some vector shapes, which again works well. Might work really well if you've got an illustration course or an architecture course. Before we finish dissecting the grey front covers, we'll just introduce another couple here just to look at maybe what doesn't work quite well. So here we've got Manchester School of Art 2014, and they went for the grey front cover again, but they've printed it onto our house uncoated, and then they've matte laminated the outside of it. I'm just not sure that the grey with the matte lamination over has, this particular grey anyway, doesn't work quite as well as these two. There's a kind of, like a slight sheen on it, and you almost want to pick it up and expect it to be a nice, really tactile grey, but with the lamination over the top and this particular shade of grey, it doesn't work anywhere near as well as their later catalogue here in 2017, or the Nottingham Trent Threads one, which is just a nicer grey. The embroidery catalogue here as well, obviously some people have never printed before, we fully appreciate that, and we're going to do whatever we can to help you get your work into print. They've used the large oversized typography as a vehicle for then dropping in some of their artwork. We appreciate all the work that comes through, but I'm not sure this works as effectively as the really, really classy kind of hidden Aboriginal vector graphics that Nottingham Trent have used within their oversized threads typography on the front cover. It's just slightly more contrived, whereas this looks very professional and works really effectively. Again, the particular grey that they use to print onto this in conjunction with the matte lamination over the top doesn't work anywhere near as well and isn't as classy as these three that we've already highlighted. All Manchester School of Art ones, these ones, so they do particularly like a grey cover. I think if you were to lean towards one of these three shades, they definitely work better than these two, especially if you're going to laminate over the top, which you should do to prevent the cracking. Or the alternative is to go for one of the colour plan papers and just print the black text over it. I'm not sure whether the white onto the grey is anywhere near as striking as the black onto the grey is. The UCA catalogue here for a long time was one of our favourite catalogues, and the things that really make this a winner are the oversized typography throughout. They've got colour pages to act as dividers as you're going through the book. We will talk a little bit about the need to leave white space on the page, but the typography, if you do it well here, oversize, is equally as effective as well. Like we've spoken about, we really like this use of an oversized spine. And you can see it here on another catalogue for UCA as well, where they've gone for a white background and they've gone for a red oversized spine. This one they've extended round by about 8mm. These ones probably round by about 12 to 15mm. Both work and both form a nice differentiation on the spine of your book cover between the background and the spine itself. Switching back from a grey front cover, let's look at predominantly white front covers. So we laid out a few here for you to look at. So again, what immediately jumps out here for you? Which are the ones that are eye-catching? Which are the ones that you kind of don't notice straight away that maybe have a bit more subtlety? Which are the ones that you kind of don't notice at all? So we can see straight away that typography is going to play a big part in making the front cover jump out at the reader. If you've got a stack of degree show catalogues at the show itself, or that you've taken home with you, if you go to Free Range or you go to one of the other larger group degree shows that they organise around the country, you know, maybe get home and you're going to have 10 to 20 catalogues. Which are the ones that are going to leap out at you when you get home that you really want to pick up and read again? So white with the use of bright colour, they seem to be the effective choices here. It's going to be a big decision within your group if you decided to go for displaying one person's art on the front cover of the catalogue. That really gives that particular student prominence. They'd have to be exceptional, I think, to warrant a place on the front cover. So typography, the name of the course, and the name of the university, and the name of your theme for the degree show is probably the best solution here. Got a couple in the background here. Got BA Honours Kingston, and we've got Goldsmiths Fine Art and History of the Art, which literally just have one line of text on there, the name of the course and the name of the university. I would say that is a little bit of a punt. I mean, there is generous white spaces on there, but I think the typographic solutions work better than the more minimalist solution here. We've got the Glasgow one, which has introduced design elements and little flares on there as well. Quite strong typography here on the photography one. Again, quite nice. We've always liked this one with the grey spine down there. That might work well quite nicely with an oversized spine as well. This is a silk front cover, 300 gram silk with matte lamination on the outside. Silk front cover and silk front cover here. Have a conversation there if you prefer white uncoated or you prefer silk. So I think when we view all these catalogues together, immediately we're obviously drawn to the red of UCA. Again, this is another great catalogue. We've got classy, well done typography. Very easy to do typography badly, but you do well to take a nod from this UCA catalogue from 2014. Oversized spine, white background colour. The Glasgow one with the design elements works well. This is for Leeds, I think. Oh no, this is Kingston. This is Kingston Fine Art again, with the jazzy coloured typography on the front cover. Really thin, compact degree show, this one. So if you have only got a few students on your course, maybe go for a double page spread, even if you've got kind of 15 or 20 students, and you can still just about get up to the thickness of 3mm that we need for the spine. Great typography here from Leeds Beckett. So have a look, see what you think works. If there's something you like, you could definitely think about replicating that design for the front cover. Let's dig a little bit deeper then. So we've got 300 gram for the front cover here. So that's got a bit of definite weight to it, feels substantial. The Leeds Beckett one down here is a 200 gram front cover. So it opens up a lot easier. You can run a hand along there, flatten the pages down. It allows the inside pages to be read more easily. So more substantial 300 gram. Slightly flimsier 200 or 250 gram, but it does allow the cover to be opened up. We've got a lot of the catalogues here are uncoated, so that has a more tactile feel. The colours sit on the uncoated a lot softer. You can see there's not particularly a lot of clarity here. When the ink goes down onto the uncoated, it kind of softens up the distinct angles and edges of this photography. Whereas onto silk, got a very precise mathematical geometry around this red shape on the front cover of the UCA one. And again on the back, Glasgow, it's sculpture and environmental art, so it probably does lend itself more to recycled paper than it does to kind of like a gloss or a silk, so they've probably gone for the right choice here. It's got a bit of a grain in there as well. It's 100% recycled, I think, this front cover, and that'll be 300 gram. You open it up, and again, they've used the same graphic elements on the end papers, which looks really cool. Very nice, compact catalogue, this one, for Glasgow School of Art. We really like the typography that we've used on these three as well, and on the photography catalogue. It's a very simple but effective masthead here that they've gone for. No fuss, said before, don't reinvent the wheel, less is often more. And this is a 300 gram silk front cover, matte lamination on the outside, and it does work really well, and it feels nice when you pick it up as well. We'll bring these two back in. So we'll leave it to you guys to decide what you think about these two front covers. Like we've said, I wonder whether there's more information you can put on this front cover to make your catalogues more distinctive than playing it safe and just going for a simple line of text to describe the course. They're minimal, but are they as eye-catching as some of the others? AUCB in Bournemouth. Really like this as well. This is very neat. It's almost kind of like a newspaper style masthead. It's all kept together, neat typography, centered on the page, draws the reader's eye in. Could have definitely done with lamination on the front, but this is a nice flimsy cover. I think that's probably 200 gram again. So that opens up. It's got a lot more give there in comparison to this one, where it really just goes back down. You can see that. See the dynamics there of that cover retreating to the rest of the book, whereas this one, yes, less weight to it. So white front cover, so we've looked at grey. An alternative is to keep it nice and simple and go for a white front cover on your degree show catalogue. Loads of different elements you can bring in, typography, add extra colours on there to make it more dynamic, or keep it really minimal and really simple. We've discussed grey and white degree show catalogue front covers, and now let's move on to brilliant, vivid, colourful front covers. So again, let's ask the question, what jumps out here immediately? Which catalogues here do you see straight away as your eye drawn into? Which ones are the exceptional ones? Which ones are striking? We've got different elements here added in, again, graphically. We've got large typography. We've got more subtle embossing on the front cover of some of them. Some of the examples here we've shown are using GF Smith colour plan. A lot of them, the students have printed the colour onto our house white paper for a cheaper option and to give you more flexibility throughout the millions of colours that you can get from the CMYK spectrum, rather than being limited to the 50 or so actual coloured papers that you could go for. So which catalogues here are immediately captivating? Which kind of do you not notice straight away? We've got a selection here. So the Kingston Architecture catalogue is printed onto a pop set yellow. Maybe a more visually appealing colour has been achieved here by Central St Martin's MA Photography by printing the yellow. So the Kingston obviously is uncoated background, whereas the brightness of the silk paper that CSM have chosen means that yellow jumps forward toward the reader more. Kingston have used a pale green from the colour plan range. We have Hull, How to Cast an Elephant, and we have Glasgow that have printed the green. Again, a decision to be made about which is more effective. We've got a nice vivid blue colour from the UCA's Man Overboard show. We've got three really nice choices here for a black front cover. For a long time we mocked the use of gloss in anything that we printed because it looked cheap and it looked crass, but you can actually see here when you compare these three, the black on the front cover when it's printed onto 300 gram gloss with gloss lamination over the top is a far more dynamic an immediate punchy black than it is when you go for silk paper and you matte laminate over the top, which just softens the black down a little bit. So the Birmingham BA Honours Fine Art catalogue here really, really comes towards the reader. The orange and the red and the yellows on the front cover are striking. It's a decision that you guys have to make. But if you wanted a really punchy black, or really punchy any colour in fact, how about going for a 300 gram gloss cover with gloss lamination over the top to make an immediate impact visually. We've got 3 here in the pink, the off pink and the red colourway. So this is a really striking pink that they've gone for here, Swansea. We have a printed red for the Glasgow one with this cool vector shape over the top. This is quite eye-catching when you view it against all the others. And then on a similar vein to the Cambridge University architecture course that we saw in the grey section, we've got the Kingston course here. We've gone for a more muted, kind of dusky pink on the front cover of theirs. It's printed again. This is printed onto Cyclus offset, which I think we'd have to check, but may well be defunct now. I think that paper mill went under 2018 or 2019. Printing it onto 100% recycled really mutes that colour down. Maybe that lends itself better to architectural drawings and to the architectural courses. The rest of the work in here as well is obviously exceptional work, but it is more muted, and the colours are softer onto the 100% recycled paper. As a front cover, I mean, you can immediately see that this more dynamic red jumps out at you more than the more muted architecture red they've gone for there. Again, Goldsmiths here have gone for a leather type pattern. So rather than paying the expense of going for a leather material on the front cover, they've rendered the brown leather. Typography works again, so strong typography seems to be the way to go forward. Glasgow have gone for a really, really nice kind of chevrons on the front cover of theirs as well, which is quite dramatic. The majority of the catalogue front covers here are just using standard printing, but we do have Kingston who've gone for the embossing on their front cover, and Swansea who've gone for gold foiling to add accents to their typography. And we have Coventry who've gone for this really nice sunny orangey yellow colour, and their masthead is debossed into the front cover. So there might be a specific colour that your university would like you to use, in which case your hands are tied, but you can see here there's a range of colours that you can choose from, and some do work better than others. Again, like we've spoken about, maybe you could go in with another 1 or 2 or 3 courses at your university, and maybe one could pick a yellow, one could pick a green, a blue and a red. You could all use similar language, or you could use similar position on the typography on the front cover, and then that brings together all of the publications that you guys do, your 3 or 4 courses at your university, and it means people can take a nice set away, might make them collectible, maybe that can be something that then carries on in future years as well. You could set a precedent. So I think there are a lot of winning designs out of these selections. We really like the Coventry one, the simplicity of it. It does have the name of the course and the university down the spine in white. The debossing on the front cover. I think the orange, the sunny colour that they've gone for on the cover is particularly nice. I think Central St Martin's is pretty much as perfect as you can get for a front cover. Awesome typography, a really, really vibrant, captivating yellow colour onto 300 gram silk with matte lamination over the top of it. That really jumps out at the reader. We love Man Overboard. We like the freeness of their masthead and their typography on the front cover. They're not constrained. I think this is probably a hand-drawn font. Again, the UCA catalogues around 2012 to 2014 really, really set themselves apart. They really were brilliant compared to everything else that was coming through. We've got these awesome graphic elements all the way through. We've got typography. It's actually printed in 2 colour all the way through this one as well. So all of the artwork has been converted into a dark orange and a blue colour. It's slightly smaller than A5 as well, which is a nice bespoke size, so it does stand out. You can see immediately when compared to A5, it's a little bit different. We love the visual language that Glasgow have used here. Iconic kind of road sign language almost. We are going to be drawn back again to this gloss front cover on the Birmingham one. Does look great. We like the graphic elements that Glasgow have used here. These were for separate years, but they've obviously tried to continue the tradition of using nice white vector graphics on the front cover, not including the course. Actually, they did include the course on the spine on this one, but not the previous year, but just choosing nice bright colours to draw in the reader, to make the catalogue cover look stunning. They're classy with the white vectors over the top of the colours printed onto 300 gram uncoated, matte lamination on both of them to prevent the ink cracking. House to Cast an Elephant is a really neat A5 landscape catalogue. And again, just simple typography on the front cover. A5 landscape lends itself well to showing off both portrait and landscape artwork throughout. And you get a really nice wide page to put the student's contact details on. Slightly more muted, these two, so a dusky pink, and the leather texture that Goldsmiths have gone for. They've gone for a really sort of flimsy 200 gram uncoated cover with matte lamination on the outside, and Kingston here went for cyclist offset, which is 100% recycled. It is going to mute down your images. They won't look the same as they do on screen, and the edges and the finite details that you're going to get aren't going to be quite as precise when printing onto 100% recycled paper as they would if you went for silk. I hope that's given you a great oversight into the different elements that you can use to make a really, really striking and captivating front cover on your degree show catalogue. Obviously, never judge a book by its cover, but on this particular section of the guide, we have done. So we spoke about going for a coloured option to give the front cover a lot of vibrancy. If you can't choose which precise colour to go for, why not go for all of them? Here we've done UWE's catalogue in 2014, a photography catalogue. They've split the cover into many, many pixels and just included as many colours as they can think of. It's actually a really, really successful front cover, this one. Quite a nice bespoke size. I think it's about 270 by 210. So that works really well. Now we're going to look at dark options for front covers. So we've looked at grey, we've looked at white. We're going to look at really dark choices now. So maybe some print specs don't work quite as well as they were first envisioned to. Here we've got Camberwell's This Is War catalogue, and I don't want to be overly critical, but maybe it might have resulted in a better looking catalogue if they hadn't chosen this particular option for the front cover. So they've gone for 140 GSM Plike dark blue, and they've gone for a bronze metallic ink over the top of it. It's hard to pin down exactly why it doesn't work, but having had this in the office for years and years now, when we come to send out paper sample and degree show catalogue sample packs, this one always gets passed over just because it's got a fairly nondescript front cover. Yes, it's minimalist and it's similar to some of the white ones that we've done in the past. But if people are going to visit 10 or 20 shows over the course of the week, you really want to make sure that your front cover is engaging and continually draws the reader back to it and to your work inside. Such an important publication, it is a bit of a punt to go for a white cover in the same way as it is to go for a completely plain black cover. With black, it feels a bit more dynamic, a bit classier. You really want to create maximum impact, I think, with your front cover. So the colours and the punchy typography that we've seen, or a captivating image on the front cover with use of some of the premium extras if your budget allows, I think it's a better way to go. So this is dark blue Plike with bronze ink over the top. We've got the Goldsmiths catalogue here, which is 270 GSM colour plan ebony, and it's got white foil and it's got gloss spot UV varnish on there. So they've used the white foil to bring out the theme and the title of the show, and then they've gone for spot UV varnish to really, really subtly add some more accents on there, vector images. These were repeated throughout the book. So for cohesion throughout the publication, these vector images were used all the way through. There again, we've got matter made up with the vector shapes. So, I mean, as far as classy front covers go, colour plan ebony black is an absolute winner. So again, we've got Kent School of Architecture. The architecture books tend to be really, really chunky. So this is 270 ebony black again, and again they've gone for gloss spot UV varnish over the front. So initially when you look at it, it appears to be just a flat black cover. When you look at it closer, you tilt it towards the light, you get the really, really nice detail shimmering in the light. Slight variation on that is this beautiful book for Kingston graphic design from 2012. This initially started off as a print run of 100 and they liked the concept more and more, but by the time we were finished we ended up printing 2,000 copies. So they've gone for 380 GSM Skin Curious Black, which is an Antalis R.J. Wiggins paper. I think it's still available. It's quite similar to Plike in that it's sort of rubbery feel. It sort of has a similar finish to what you'd get with soft touch lamination, and then over the top again it's got the gloss spot UV over there to add the content and the name of the course in the top left hand corner, and to add their logo for the show through the centre. The advantage of this and all of the black papers is because it's the actual paper itself that's stained the colour, you don't have to laminate over the top because the fibres in the paper are already embedded with the black, so they don't crack, so it gives you a bit more flexibility. But this is really, really nice. So 380 GSM Skin Curious Black with gloss lamination over the front. Nottingham Trent, again, slightly different variation. They've gone for 300 GSM Silk. They have added lamination to prevent the ink cracking, and then they've gone for gold foiling for their masthead and the name of the university at the bottom. Again, very effective. This is a super, super chunky book, this one, at 346 inside pages. So each student is given three pages for their photography. Serious number of students on this course, so they had to go for a really, really big book to allow for everybody to get their work in there. It works really well. It's coming up a couple of centimetres thick. So to give you a slight guide on prices, these are obviously publications that we've printed over many, many years, so there might be a slight fluctuation, but just to give you a rough ballpark. So Goldsmiths here, they've gone for the bespoke size between A5 and A4, and they've gone for the white foiling, spot UV varnish and the ebony black colour plan. So they printed 2,000 copies and that was £6,500. So it comes in around about £3.25 per catalogue. Nottingham Trent went for a smaller print run of only 360 copies, but this is, like you've seen, a super chunky catalogue with a lot of content in there, and you've got the gold foiling. So 360 copies was £4,000. So that's coming out around, quick maths, so that's coming in at £11 a catalogue. The Kingston one here, which is a neater 64 inside pages, it's A5, so a standard size, with the Skin Curious black front cover and the gloss spot UV varnish. So they printed 2,000 copies for £4,090. So again, just over £2 a copy on that one. Let's see the difference here between the thickness of these two. So roughly the same price, but Kingston were able to print 2,000 copies, whereas Nottingham Trent printed 360, just because of the pure amount of setup and paper involved in producing that many pages. But black front covers, they are dynamic, they are distinctive. You can add a premium extra over the top to add your content. Obviously we can't print colour onto the black because it would get completely washed out, but you can add a logo, name of the course, some vector graphics using a premium extra, foiling, gloss spot UV varnish. Works really, really well.